used to be with it. Then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
Well, hey everyone, and welcome to the What I'm With podcast. I am your host, Dave, and with me is my brother, Tim, who has never seen a Star Wars.
Never.
Not one.
No, all the stars I see are stationary.
That's true.
They're never
at war.
No, they're never doing anything, really.
Yeah. I mean, allegedly, according to science, they're moving at, like, breakneck speeds that we can't even fathom. But they said that about Earth, too, and I don't feel anything.
Earth 2, the TV show, or Earth as well?
Earth as well.
Okay, got to clarify because in my head.
Earth 2 is a TV show. That's actually rather apropos for today's topic. Look at him predicting things accidentally.
Wow.
So, we, as it's been established, grew up in the best era of human existence of all time, the 80s and 90s. Yep. And specifically in our lifetime, in our formative years up through our teens, we lived in what I would consider, and I don't think you would disagree, the golden age of one particular science fiction franchise on television.
Star Trek?
Star Trek.
Guessed.
Look at the big brain on Tim.
We had a lot of Star Treks.
We had, during that time, not one, not two, not even three. We had 4 Star Treks.
Are we counting Enterprise
Enterprise
or the original series?
I'm starting with Next Generation. Okay. As much as I love the original series and I love what it brought us, Star Trek for you and I growing up was predominantly Next Generation. I would say that Deep Space Nine and Voyager both made the list, but while we did watch them all the way through, they were less significant to us, I think, than Next Generation.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched Deep Space Nine in a long time, but I think you could make an objective argument that it possibly was a better written show. But again, haven't seen it in so long that I couldn't say for sure. But yes, the Next Generation to me is it. Picard is the captain, even
Picard
though
is my captain.
Over time, I've grown to love Kirk quite a bit.
I agree with all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for us, it was Picard, Riker, Worf, Geordi, Data,
Deanna.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, young men, you get your crushes on the attractive women.
Again, there was something about that era where they just kept making attractive brunettes, and then you and I both married attractive brunettes. Go figure.
How did that work?
It's almost like we were told. Told that we were supposed to marry attractive brunette women.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Star Trek is not exactly the theme of today's episode, though. It's a framing device.
Oh, ooh.
So we are using Star Trek, much like you did for Mario. We are using it to go on a journey.
Oh.
Now.
A voyage, you could say.
A voyage.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a trek? Now we have our handy-dandy little easel here because I have devised a game.
Oh, I like games.
And
I like winning.
Well, this game is twofold.
Okay.
And we'll get to the explanation later. I'm not going to allow you to get any points for the first part of the game because it's too easy.
Okay.
But the second part will be the scoring part.
Okay. Now, if we're playing a game, does this tie into our everything is a chance to prove which one is
absolutely
best?
It does. Yes.
But then I have nothing.
No, you just have the chance to get a point.
Okay.
And then the challenge to you then is you have to come up with an episode in the near future where only I can get a point.
Ah, okay. Can do.
Okay. All right. Now that we've established that, we have here 4 little felt boards. They didn't print super well, so we'll probably wind up throwing the graphic on the Jumbotron, but what do we have there?
That would be the Enterprise D.
The Enterprise D. And you can set that down for the moment. And here.
D being for the Next Generation.
Yes.
Here we have Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine.
The space station.
The space station, I believe, constructed by the Bajorans. It was not a Federation construction.
Yeah, because they were in the... What sector was the Delta sector? I can't remember.
They're next to the wormhole to the... Is it the Delta Quadrant or the Gamma Quadrant?
I think it might have been the Delta Quadrant, and that's where the Cardassians, not the Kardashians. So instead of big round bottoms, they had big round tubes
yes.
on their forehead and neck. Anyway.
Yeah. Here?
That would be the Voyager, the upside down breakfast cereal
Upside down
spoon.
breakfast cereal spoon. And then this one, again, less iconic. This aired in our lifetime, but I don't think either one of us watched a ton of it. I don't know how much you watched. I might have watched the first season. I did not conclude.
Discovery? No, this would be Enterprise from the show Enterprise.
Yes, the eponymous.
I watched a few episodes, and this is when Star Trek started to turn for me.
Yeah, it wasn't the dystopian, dark, gritty hellscape it is today, but it was definitely the less hopeful, less fun, less lighthearted than the shows that aired during Roddenberry's lifetime. And I'm not sure if Voyager was actually during his lifetime or not, because this is not a Star Trek show and I did not do any research. We were just using Star Trek to frame what we're doing.
We're opening an envelope.
Something.
I'm going to get a little closer to the microphone for the ASMR crowd. Thanks. You're welcome.
You're welcome, ASMR people. It doesn't work for me. I've tried.
No.
It's just a little agitating to me.
Though, I will say, I've never actually listened to it, but I heard someone say you have to listen to this YouTube video of this person taking a bite of the Popeyes chicken sandwich, and I hear the sound in my head, and it makes me salivate a little bit.
Okay.
But I've never listened to it because I don't get it. But
all right, so this is not the game. This is just
talk about chicken a little more.
I don't want to talk about your saliva any more than I have to. This is just kind of a get your mental juices instead of your mouthful juices flowing.
All right. All right. Evacuate the mouth, go up to the brain.
Yep.
Let's do this.
Move the juice.
Alien Nation.
Alien Nation.
That is Sam Francisco, who goes by George.
They changed his partner changed his name to George because he refused to call him Sam Francisco.
Yeah.
What do you recall of an Alien Nation?
I recall, so it might have been allegory about a population treated not as kindly as the indigenous population, having to integrate into society. There was a lot of that going on, but I just remember it being a really good. I mean, it was a cop drama and family drama.
Yeah,
and
while
then,
also being science fiction.
And then the lead actor, who was not Sam Francisco,
right?
Whose name the actor is Gary something, and he just recently passed.
Yes,
which is tragic. But he, by all accounts, solid dude, and in one of our favorite B movies of all time,
Robot Jocks.
Of
course. Yeah. He played the aforementioned Robot Jock.
He did.
All right, you can hang on to all of these. You can keep them on your side. You're going to need them for the game.
Okay.
This one might be trickier.
Ooh. Okay. I think. Ooh. So this is what I'm looking at.
And again, we can try to put on the jumbotron in a cutaway.
I'm leaning Space Above and Beyond, but I don't really recall.
Okay. Good guess. Similar era. Space Rangers.
Space
Rangers. We watched it.
Okay. Drawn a total
we will go over. So you may remember they were deployed on some distant space station. It didn't have as much of a following as some of the other ones we're going to get into, but the key memory I have of Space Rangers is they were, as their name suggests, rangers who policed and patrolled space.
Okay.
In that ship, I don't even remember the name of that ship.
The really cool looking ship I'm going to call it.
It's cool looking.
Has the one wing to this side.
Yes, very similar to stuff we've seen in some of the extended universe Star Wars and stuff like that. There was it was a ragtag crew. I believe there was a genetically enhanced member of the team, much like Space Above and Beyond.
I was going to say
but it was an Asian man with this restraining collar because he had some sort of unquenchable fury. And with the collar on, he could function as a person. But you take that collar off, and he is a killing machine.
Kind of like Vin Diesel in Pitch Black. Like a Furion.
Oh, yeah, kind of. I wonder if
aptly named
it was
Furion.
Yeah,
dug deep for that.
I mean, they just like Darth Vader. It's a very deep name.
Yes.
So yeah, Space Rangers. Another entry. This one will be no problem for you all.
This is Serenity of Firefly.
Firefly. Yeah.
And I named the ship first just to make sure.
You're not talking about the movie. You're talking about the TV show that has the ship, the Serenity.
In my mind, quite possibly the best science fiction TV show of all time.
I mean, it never had a chance to get bad.
Yeah, that's a very fair point.
So it had a very brief run, and it was just solid front to back. It was everything you kind of loved about Han Solo put into the Captain Malcolm Reynolds. He had a ragtag crew of, take any job they can get, even the legal ones, some smuggling, some good, some, but at the heart of the show is the characters, the relationships, and, they were morally upright people living in a dark and moral world.
Yep.
And
one thing that I always loved too was the imagining of, it was a very believable future in that there was English and there was Chinese.
Yes.
And they were like,
it was like,
so
hey,
the
there were
cultures
two
kinda merged.
superpowers made it into space.
So your language is a mixture of Mandarin and English. I
always loved that.
Cool.
And then I always loved just, Mal Reynolds as a character.
Yeah.
It's like if you wrote and developed Han Solo into a full character rather than, what he was able to get in a few movies.
Right.
Like you've got some deep pain from his past. You've got some real love for his crew. I think one of the best moments in the whole show was when someone betrayed a member of his crew, and it was, why are you so mad? I didn't do it to you. And his response was, yes, you did. Mm-hmm. Anything you do to my crew, you do to me.
Yeah.
I mean, chills. I love Mal Reynolds. One of my favorite characters in recent sci-fi.
And your point about it being a developed Han Solo, it would be foolish to try to develop Han Solo separately from the main three movies.
Yeah, you should just let him live in his own space.
There should no one would ever be that stupid.
No one would ever develop Han Solo in a standalone story.
No, dumb
It'd
idea.
be very dumb, unless it's Timothy Zahn in a book.
Sure.
Yeah,
the continuation from the trilogy.
Right, the second trilogy.
Yeah, and other books as well.
Yeah, great.
I said it before.
Yes.
I'm saying it again.
This time you get to be right.
It's Space Above and Beyond.
Space Above and Beyond.
But is this the good guy ship?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the good guy ship. What's not pictured there is they had this iconic 360 gimbal turret on the bottom that did their aiming and firing. So if you weren't dead on in a dogfight, the gun would turn. I don't know how well you remember that from the fight scenes.
I do remember this. We talked about the genetically enhanced character.
Mm-hmm.
Tanks. That's what they called them.
They were called tanks because they were developed in tanks. And famously, this group, now it follows essentially Space Marines.
Yes, Marines in space.
Marines in space. And their colonel, I can't remember if that's the correct rank, he was a tank. And he climbed higher in the rank than any non-normally conceived and born human ever had, but he was still kind of a standoffish. Do you remember the scene?
I was just going to ask you, do you remember the scene about plumbing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When we're
going to utilize
the wrench, possibly a hammer,
and when we're done,
we'll have water. And one more thing. It's okay to be scared. Such a great moment.
Yep.
So the team was mocking their colonel and his pep talk.
Let me point out, by the way, we've only ever seen this very short one season of television once in our life. That's how
good. It was for its time. It was one of, if not the best, sci-fi show airing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was a precursor to Firefly, which would be a precursor to the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, which is when television science fiction was getting
it was getting more mainstream, more it was taken more seriously, dramatically, better writing.
Yes.
Going back in time a little bit.
So is this just TV shows or is it movies?
It's all
too?
TV shows.
Okay, because I was gonna say this looks a lot like a Starman.
It does look like a Starman.
But this one, I'm drawing a blank, man.
Okay. We've got Quantum Leap right there.
Oh,
so
okay,
there was no real, without actually showing you an actor's face, there was no real iconic UFO or something cool to do for. I literally had nothing for Alien Nation. They never even showed the. I think in the movie they showed the ship, but it just looked like a giant flying saucer. It wasn't anything to write home about.
All right. Well, I feel good about not quite guessing this because also this is one of those shows. It was not. There was a linear story, but it was one of those back then you could just jump in any episode.
For sure, yeah.
So, and it was one of those things like it wasn't one of my shows, but if it was on and I had nothing going on.
I think Sliders was kind of a reimagining of Quantum Leap, kind of.
The Jerry O'Connell.
It was a very similar thing though that I don't think either one of us really got into it.
Yeah, it was same deal. If it was on and I had nothing else going on, I'll put it on. Why not?
So you already mentioned it. So there's another one.
Yes, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. Now this is the reboot of, again, the episode of the week, 1970s Battlestar Galactica, or maybe it was late 70s. I think.
Yeah, it was a direct response to Star Wars.
Yeah.
So
and it was basically just any old story they could cobble together, put it in space.
Yep.
I
I remember one that scared the garbage out of me. It was they were down on, it was a Planet of the Week episode, and one of the pilots, I don't know if it was Apollo or Starbuck, or maybe one of the other like tertiary
Boomer,
pilots, but
yeah.
was with like, it was a woman and her sons, and there was this scary monster that was out in the woods, and they had to like kind of try to keep it calm, otherwise it would come out and attack them. And like, I think in the end it ended up being their dad, who something had happened to him, and it was like how to fix it. But I just remember he was like a really a creepy, like not Minotaur looking guy.
Okay.
So just young kid,
just
in the memory,
imprinted in the brain.
like
Sure.
that scared me.
Yeah, I know we watched it a lot, but it was also when we were a lot younger.
Yeah.
The only one that really sticks out in my head was the Western, where there was an outlaw called either Red Eye or One Eye, and it wound up being a Cylon whose programming got a little and Starbuck had to do a shootout with him, of course, because Starbuck was the hero.
Back when
Well, I guess
Starbuck
Apollo a little bit as well, but really you Dirk Benedict.
Yeah, Dirk Benedict. And I always think, whenever I think of him, I always think of the opening credits of the A-Team.
Oh, where
he's on
the
set and
Cylon
the sun
walks by.
he's like,
Yeah,
"Huh?"
yeah. So yeah, very
except handsome.
yes. Another very similar moment, if you remember the Western Maverick, the Mel Gibson movie.
Yeah, the movie. Yes.
Where Danny Glover has a scene where he robs a bank and his mask comes down and he's opposite Mel Gibson, and like they both do a double take, like,
Oh,
yeah.
That's one of those movies I've been meaning to rewatch.
Dude, you should I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times in as many years recently. It holds up. It's a phenomenal movie.
It inspired us and some of our friends to start playing Texas Hold'em.
Yeah,
because
that's
it was
the very first
it was
time.
a fun
before
fun-
poker kind of blew up as mainstream.
Yeah, so as young teens, we're playing it because it's just not for money, just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't have money.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Young,
right. Yeah.
young teens.
Okay.
Maybe we did it for Pog.
Oh gosh, Pog. I wish we still had all of our. I especially wish we had our
Simpsons
Simpsons Pog.
Yep.
We had so many of those.
Pogs? Pog?
Pog. Is Pog plural for Pog?
Okay, this would be from Farscape.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Leviathan.
Yes.
Piloted by Pilot.
Yes. Do you remember the name of our Leviathan?
I'm trying so hard to remember. It was a lady name.
Yeah. Because
Because they give birth to ships.
yeah, and that was a female.
It's been a good
has it
decade
been
since
really?
I've watched.
Oh man, again, you owe yourself.
Yeah, I actually have the DVD set, and it's just on the list of things to rewatch. I keep wanting to say like Myrtle, and I know that's wrong.
That's
completely
100% wrong.
But it's like, I know it's like a sound alike.
Moya.
Myrtle,
Myrtle.
potato, potato.
Myrtle eats Goya products. Moya. There you go.
I want
It's a
Moya.
mnemonic device. I want Moya. Yeah. So Farscape again was as science fiction was growing up, becoming more well written, more mature. It was Jim Henson actually.
Yes.
So a lot of the practical effects were by the Henson Group.
Mm-hmm.
And all the puppet work and everything in the show is phenomenal. I mean, if you're a fan of the work that Henson did in Dark Crystal or Labyrinth, which again we're not big fans of the movies, but the puppetry was good.
Yeah.
Again, it's just the evolution of where that company had gotten to at that time, and
kind of a return to like the fun and pulpy.
it was fun and pulpy.
but with a good story.
I mean,
really
you
good
get
story.
a phenomenal fish out of water. Our hero John Crichton is testing a new technique for skimming the atmosphere to gain speed, to break orbit, to do more planetary exploration within our solar system. Somehow trips open a wormhole and gets dumped out in the middle of a prison break where Moya is a prison ship and the prisoners have taken over and they're fleeing, and then we spend the next however many episodes getting to know these characters, finding out what's their crime, are they good people or not, and all the while pursued by a bit of a maniac who then gets replaced by an even better villain.
Yes.
Scorpius, who is one of my favorite TV villains of all time.
Just fantastic.
I mean, he is very much ends justify the means. He's not necessarily evil. He's not good, but his aim is actually good.
Yeah.
He's just willing to do anything. Absolutely anything
The best kind
to
of
win a
villain.
war.
The kind of villain you can understand.
Yeah,
even
like
if
a
you-
villain who's not cartoonish. Like he's not just mustache twirling. Oh, I'm gonna get you, Crichton. No,
Right.
he needs the
And-
knowledge that Crichton has to win a war.
And then the main plot device of season 3, I still think about. I don't want to spoil anything if you've never seen it, but there's the crew has to split into two parts for a very specific reason, and some very tragic things happen.
Oh yeah,
and then
and some of the best dialogue
Yeah.
that the show ever had was in that season.
and then when ultimately they have to reform,
Yeah.
and like what happens. I'm whew,
yeah,
just thinking
no,
about.
there's
okay,
some
we're gonna-
emotionally pivotal moments.
Yeah.
Now this last one, I could devote I could create a whole spin-off podcast where I just talk about this show. This is, in my mind, the most important television show to have ever aired. Period. This is the show that taught me everything about storytelling. The name of the place? It's Babylon 5.
Babylon 5.
Yep. Our last best hope for peace.
Yes.
Again, it's
Lord of the Rings in space.
It's Lord of the Rings in space, and it's the first time that I can recall, at least in genre, where there was a show Bible already written that planned out a multi-season story. Famously planned out a 4-season multi-season story, then got a 5th, and had to kind of squeeze the 5th and arguably inferior season into the show. And then they wound up airing the finale that they filmed for season 4 at the end of 5, because they needed to not wrap it up until season 5. So
just all the characters.
Yeah.
Londo, Garibaldi.
Jakar, Marcus. Again, we talked about Picard being our captain. Sheridan's my captain for real, though.
Yeah.
Like if we go outside of Trek, Sheridan is my captain.
Yeah.
Now,
I always, in my head, it was, so we started with Sinclair for season 1 and then shifted. Was that always the plan? Or was
Sinclair was always supposed to be one character. I believe it was his struggles with either dementia or something made him incapable of continuing in the role. They did bring him back for some guest appearances, but
time travel.
He wasn't able to stay on. But I mean, Bruce Boxleiter did a phenomenal job. I arguably a better job, but we really didn't get a lot of time with. Oh gosh, I can't think of his name now.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you his name, unfortunately. Great actor though.
Oh, he was great. Yeah,
job.
I loved him, but I preferred Bruce Boxleiter. So, this theme of this episode is a trek through sci-fi television.
Oh boy.
So, all of this is connected to Star Trek. So, every last show that we've gone over here aired during one of those 4, sometimes a little overlap.
Okay.
But what we're going to do is play a game. And the rules of that game for the first round will be sorting those shows by their Star Trek.
Okay.
So, now there is overlap because, as you probably remember, Next Generation and DS9 overlapped a little bit. DS9 and Voyager overlapped a lot.
Yeah.
And then Voyager and Enterprise overlapped a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So, our Price is Right rule for this, to make it so that things track correctly, is it will be which show aired immediately after the premiere of a Star Trek. So you will put something that overlaps with 2, you would put to the more recent.
Okay, yeah, give me the example.
So my example here is Dystopian Space Trip Discovery and Dystopian Space Trip Picard both aired simultaneously. Discovery from 2017 to 2024. It's still airing, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So they haven't
and
figured out how the mushrooms make space do things fast?
I don't know how this show works.
It's a lot of crying.
Good.
Yeah, it's a pathetic piece of crap.
And
sorry, it weighs at least 500 Curix.
Oh, okay. So Dystopian Space Trip Picard aired Dickety Dickety to Dickety Dickety 3.
Okay.
So there's a 3-year overlap between those two dystopian space trip TV shows. Lost in Space, the reboot,
Okay, yeah.
came out in Dickety 18, so it would go to Discovery, which was Dickety 17.
So closest to the
Premiere date. Now, Resident Alien, which came out in 2021, overlaps both shows, but Picard started in 2020, so it would go to Picard.
Got it. Hey, great explanation. You answered all my questions.
Excellent.
I'm still gonna not get them all right.
Well, this is the easy round.
Okay.
So I suspect. Well, I think you're going to get the bread of the sandwich right.
Okay.
I would imagine you're going to know which two are the oldest and which two are the newest, and put those in there. It's the middle four that I think have a little wiggle for you to get them wrong.
There's as a for instance, not entirely sure when Alien Nation and Quantum Leap started.
Sure.
So they could, in my mind, it would be closer to the beginning. But yeah, it's going to be
okay. And to make your life even easier, because I know that you need a little help, it's 2 shows per track.
2 shows per track.
So everything will break down. So you've got push pins.
I do.
And you've got the felt boards.
I do.
Word of warning: don't push the pins all the way through unless you want to stab your thumb. I did that earlier today.
I'm not going to do that.
So why don't we start? You know what? Dealer's choice, Tim. I'll be magnanimous in victory.
So I'm gravitating towards Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
Because I just seem to remember lots of articles about the 2 space station shows being on at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and just tack this on.
Okay.
Right here. And again, could be wrong. It could be closer to the premiere of Next Generation, but I really feel like, or even Voyager, it could go anyway.
Okay. Yeah. I do recall the same controversy. There's actually controversy. Yeah. There's actually interesting speculation. So Straczynski had finished writing the Babylon 5 Bible and had the pitch and everything ready to go. I want to say it might have been 4 or 5 years before the pilot was filmed.
Wow.
And he shopped it around to many places, including Paramount.
Interesting.
Which then, coincidentally, developed its own space station that is a name and a number, is next to a wormhole, whose protagonist becomes a religious figure, who has a shadowy threat who can hide in plain sight, on a station that is devoted to peace and diplomacy.
Interesting. Kind of like how famously Mr. Zack Snyder pitched a Star Wars film, was rejected, took it to Netflix, and made Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
Rebel Moon.
There was even a lightsaber in it.
Yes.
I watched that series of images.
I did not. I didn't feel the need to. And then I believe what I heard on the internet is it's not a lightsaber, it's a photon scimitar.
Yep.
I'm going to set this one aside for a minute.
Okay. Where are we going next?
I'm going to go with the least watched and the last, which would be Enterprise.
So you're going to try to pick the most recent,
which would
definitely has to be the Battlestar reboot.
The Battlestar reboot, which is phenomenal. Now, I dug my heels in because at the time I hated reboots. And you and Dad were watching it, and constantly telling me how great it was. And I dug my heels and did not want to watch it.
You said that you couldn't watch it because of, and I quote, octagonal paper.
Oh,
it made no sense.
It made no sense. So it came out later that so all of the corners of the paper had been cut. Apparently, the prop department did that as a message to the world that they keep asking us to cut corners with the budget. So they were cutting and then they were just stuck with it because they did it.
Yes, but imagine
just the waste.
What do you do with a little triangle?
Yeah, where does that go?
I mean, I guess you pulp it and make more.
I guess, but yeah, paper. I would say not a perfect show. You could definitely argue the first 2 seasons are as close to perfect as you can get, with the inclusion of the first 5 or 6 episodes of season 3. Some of the best TV period, let alone sci-fi TV. Just phenomenal.
Yeah. The one episode, Hand of God.
Oh, Hand of God's amazing.
The music.
Yeah.
The lighter.
The lighter. Yeah. The father-son.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Oh, yeah. Some of the best
it's a good
TV you'll ever see.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And Edward James almost is.
Almost what?
Edward James.
I'm the first one to make that joke.
Almost passed on that role. I have no idea if that's true. But his son Bodhi was in the show as Hot Dog.
That's right.
All right. So you've got Battlestar.
Yeah,
with Enterprise, and now you've got to pick a second show or move on.
Like, is it Firefly or is it Farscape? It's one of the two, and I'm just trying to remember which one it's Firefly, and what my reason being is we moved out of our father's house,
and I remember seeing this in our first place together.
Okay,
and I remember seeing Farscape at his house. Doesn't mean we didn't go to his house to watch, but that's That's where I'm going with the fuzziness of
Okay.
the memory.
So we've got the Star Trek, and why don't you put that one up on the board since it's complete? Let the ladies and gentlemen at home see your great work here. So, all right. Yeah, Firefly, again, never got a chance to suck. It had a very short run, famously. There were some real weird issues at Fox. They didn't air it in order. They kept changing the time slot.
Yeah.
It was
It started with the train job instead of the one where
You introduce all the characters.
right, and then a couple episodes didn't even air. I think they didn't air until syndication, maybe. But yeah, it was just a jumbled mess, which is a shame because it's phenomenal. It's darn near perfect. All
While
right.
you were talking, and I was agreeing silently, except for my one comment about the train job.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought Space Above and Beyond
Okay.
utilized
A wrench.
computer-generated technology.
It did.
So did Babylon 5.
Okay.
And because of that, that's why I'm putting it here.
Okay. Let's see if we can show that to the ladies and gentlemen as well.
Yeah, so
All
we've
right.
got Babylon 5, we've got Deep Space Nine, and we've got Space Above and Beyond, or as it was affectionately called, Space 90210,
Space 90210.
if you remember, because there was a lot of interpersonal drama mixed in. With
There
all of
was.
the
There
fighting.
was. There were. Because these were young pilots.
Yes.
So they did throw in the teen drama.
So with that in mind, I have my final selections.
Okay.
So I'm putting Alien Nation
Okay.
with Star Trek: The Next Generation,
Okay.
as well as the show that you told me the name of, and I already forgot.
Quantum Leap.
No.
Oh, Space Rangers.
Space.
Oh, I thought I
Ranger.
told you the name of both.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about this, and I can't decide to put it with Voyager
Okay.
or with Star Trek. So I'm going with Star Trek because I think Next Generation appeared or premiered in '88 or '89, and I think
It's actually slightly older. It's 87, but you're close.
87?
Yeah, it's 87.
Yeah, but
With that jellyfish space station episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I guess in my mind when I look
jellyfish.
at this, I'm looking at a late '80s, early '90s image.
Okay.
And then, but it could just as easily be Quantum Leap. So with Voyager, I will be placing Farscape,
Farscape.
Myrtle,
Myrtle. Myrtle, the space turtle.
the famous
Leviathan from.
Yeah. Here, why don't you hand me that one? I'll hold that one up for the ladies and gentlemen, or one of
Yeah,
them.
you know
and-
that one. This one's all,
All right.
skew. I'll take the.
So now we've got our selection, not in correct
Well,
TV order, but
Actually, well, if we.
so yeah, we have to
okay.
move some
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
around.
yeah.
It's fine. It is what it is.
How'd I do?
Okay.
Okay, I'll take okay. I was not confident.
Obviously, you got Enterprise right because those are the modern shows.
Yes.
Everything else you got 50%.
All right.
So for Star Trek, you need Quantum Leap,
Okay.
and you are right about Alien Nation, so you need to ditch Space Rangers.
What was it called again?
Space Rangers.
And what do they do?
Range in space.
Are they ranger in space?
Oh, they ranger like Witchering.
Yeah.
All right. Which that needs to go on the Deep Space Nine board.
Oh, which means
You were wrong about Space Above and Beyond.
Space 90210.
Space
comes off.
90210 comes over with Voyager.
Okay.
And again, this
I'll let
was
you push pin that.
yeah, I will push pin that. This was not the point scoring round. The point scoring round.
Wait, what?
The points
This was the easy test
this
round?
was the easy test round. The point scoring round starts now.
Okay.
We'll have to just figure this out. Not counting the Star Treks, we have 8 TV shows. I have here, logically, 8 pieces of paper numbered 0 through 7. Logically. So,
Oh, yeah. 0,
Yeah.
1, 2. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Computer brain
yeah,
programming you.
programming you. Yeah. So what I want you to do is to correctly place highest to lowest number of episodes that the show got. So whatever you think got the most episodes will be the 7. Whatever you think got the least episodes will be the 0. And then
Oh, for every show.
for all 8 non-Star Trek shows.
Oh, for all 8. Not okay. I was like,
No, we're not
definitely
including the
Next
Treks.
Generation
Again,
had the
the
most, and
Trek
Enterprise had the
Trek is
least.
our framing device, but the game is the non-Treks.
All right, so let's do this because my obligation
As a participant in this game show,
is to determine
which had fewer.
Yeah,
Firefly, which we know only got, what, like 13 episodes?
very close.
And then I know nothing about the Rangers in space.
Rangers. You don't even remember it, which is shocking.
And then I believe that Space Above and Beyond had a full season order, which would have put it depending, because if they did like they'll do this back 9 thing, so they'll film like 13 and then you get your back 9, and sometimes they'll give you half of that. So I remember it being on a little longer, so I'm not gonna count that in the zeros.
Okay,
but I'm gonna go ahead with Space Rangers.
Okay,
as the least amount.
Okay, I'm just gonna I'm marking on the board what you're putting,
just because I don't know. All right, so there we go.
So you mark Space Rangers as your 0.
And then I'm immediately going to Firefly.
So Firefly for your 1. Okay. And at the beginning of the show, we mentioned Earth 2.
Yeah.
And I forgot to get around to that. That's going to be the honorable mention. It's actually written on my sheet as honorable mention Earth 2, 1994.
2 seasons.
Yep. And it would have been a third TV show to overlap with Deep Space Nine. And I guess I should have gone with it instead of Space Rangers, but Space Rangers was just such a weird memory for me. I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
But Earth 2 is another great sci-fi show.
That I, as the contestant, remember.
Yeah. I expected you to remember both. So
yeah. I failed.
Shame on one of us.
Me, I was the one who failed.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And yeah, another sci-fi-ish show that's probably a quasi-honorable mention would be Sequest.
Oh yeah, Sequest DSV. Yeah, with Schreider.
Yeah,
Jaws.
Yeah. Robert Schreider. Robert.
Oh, I should know.
I should know too. Again, also had genetically tank-grown humans in it.
Did it? I just remember Darwin the Dolphin. And
Darwin the Dolphin and the kid.
Yeah, who was Darwin's handler, I guess.
Yeah.
And on the ship because Wesley was on the ship, so we got to put a kid on the ship.
Yeah, you need a kid, apparently.
No, you don't.
No.
Would have been a better show without.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Okay.
So, I'm
going to say that Quantum Leap gets our 7, our most, because I know even though we didn't really watch it, it was an cultural.
It had a good run. It definitely had a good run.
So I have to give that one.
Oh, I guess we should probably, before we go any farther, should probably say that you will need to get, what do we have, 8 shows?
Mm-hmm. So I have to get.
We'll say 6. You have to get 6 right to get a point. So you can only mix up 1. You only make 1 mistake, essentially.
Okay. Well, then, because before I tack this on, now I'm thinking, did it have 5 seasons? Because Babylon 5 had 5 seasons.
Babylon 5 had 5.
And it had 5 full seasons, like
it
24.
Had 5 full.
Was this a 5-season show or a 4-season show? Was it a 6-season show? I genuinely
You are in
don't
your
know.
head.
I'm in my head. I'm just going to stick with it. It was my first guess. I'm probably wrong. It's probably going to end up being Babylon 5, which I'm going to immediately go ahead and tack.
You make as your 6. Okay.
All right. All this, I haven't stabbed myself once yet, and I'm very proud.
That's impressive. Also, no one warned me not to stab myself, so that's the only reason I stabbed myself.
All right. If I turn it upside down, it's a 9, and if it ends up being more, then I win. I just spin it round.
Oh, there you go.
The way science works.
Look, that's 100% how science works.
All right, so
science is whatever you want it to be.
I'm down to.
I know that Farscape was 4 seasons. Babylon 5 was 4 seasons.
You mean Battlestar? You've already. Picked,
sorry.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica was 4 seasons.
Yep. I don't know how many seasons Alien Nation had.
No.
And then I know that we had 1, maybe 2 seasons of Space Above and Beyond. So I will slide. I'm going to stop tacking because it's getting slow.
Okay.
So we're going to just say 2 for.
That's a 3.
2
for Space Above and Beyond.
Okay.
We got 5, 4, 3. So I think I don't know how many seasons Alien Nation had, but I feel like Farscape had more total episodes than Babylon 5.
So we're gonna go with 5 for Farscape.
You keep saying Babylon 5 when you mean Battlestar.
It's because Babylon 5 is closer to my
and
eye.
it's better. Sorry.
It is a better show. And then I'm going 4 Battlestar and 3 Alien Nation.
And I'm done.
And you're done.
And did I get 6 points?
No.
No, I didn't. Did I get 5 points?
No.
Did I get 2 points?
More.
4.
Yeah, you got 4.
Okay.
So
half of them. I got half right.
Of course you were right. Space Rangers had a whopping 6.
Woo,
6 episodes.
wow.
And your homework is to at least watch a trailer, if not an episode. It does not hold up well.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Cool.
Firefly had 14 episodes, so that's next. You had Space Above and Beyond and Alien Nation swapped.
Oh, okay.
And it's such a bummer because they're only 1 episode different.
That's not fair.
Space Above and Beyond had 23 episodes. Alien Nation had 22.
Dude. Okay, but
very close.
I don't feel bad.
Your thoughts were in the right place.
Okay.
You got Farscape and Battlestar correct. Battlestar had 74 episodes. Farscape had 88.
Okay.
And then, as you predicted while making your selection, you got Quantum Leap and B5 flipped. Quantum Leap only had 97 episodes, where B5 had 111. So 110 if you don't count the pilot, but it's still more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has been our journey through, and you did not manage to get a point.
I did not.
So
it was a tough assignment. I'm proud of my performance.
I think, considering that you didn't remember Space Rangers at all, I think you did well there. And again, your thought process was in the right place. Everything that you got wrong by flipping it with the one adjacent to it. It's not like you got things way wrong.
If we rewound, you're probably going to hear me say it's this or this, and I'm going with this because it's my first guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did that twice, and your first guess was wrong. So
what have I learned? Never trust my instincts.
Don't ever trust your instincts.
Whatever
Ask
my second
somebody.
thought is do that. So if I see like an oncoming car or later today when we're on a road trip, and my thought is get out of the way.
Ask me first.
Ask you first.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
That's what we've learned.
All right, folks, we'll throw some links up in the thingy thing down here. Obviously, we still want you to like us and subscribe to us.
Yes, please.
And, we will have some more opportunities to prove which one of us is best in the future.
Yep.
But for now, that's all. Bye.
Bye.